The search for the origin of the Igbos have given many researchers several sleepless nights. However, for the fact that the few books that I was able to come across did not satisfy all I have been searching for, I decided to take this painstaking research myself. What have been gathered together here did not come so easily, yet it has gone a long way in answering many of my hitherto unanswered questions concerning the origin of the Igbos as a people. Relying upon the Bible, facts, traditions, and culture, historical backgrounds of the Igbos and other areas that was unveiled to me by many sources, I am convinced that after hearing me today, you will become as convinced as I am that Igbos are missing Hebrews that speaks Igbo language. However, if after listening through you came to disagree with me, don't quarrel with yourself. Instead, set out in motion a higher geared research work to prove my findings wrong. Your alternative ideas and discoveries might provide the right information that we have been searching for in our effort to produce an acceptable ancestral origin of the ancient Igbo people. It is only when this is done that the Igbos can re-link, re-hook, reorganize, re-establish themselves as to be able to tackle their common problems. Also, they can be able to tackle their common enemy, which is the devil, and thus make peace with their provoked God, from whose presence they fled several unknown years ago. I thank God that apart from the saving grace given to as many as received Christ for becoming the sons of God in John 1 verse 12, I am by birth a descendant of Abraham and have already been covered in his covenant with God. Also, today, through Christ living in me, I have rejoined the family of Abraham and Israel, which opportunity eluded my ancestors by reason of idolatry and whoredom. I also thank God who opened my eyes into discovering these hidden facts that are hereby exposed for your encouragement and steadfastness in following him as his covenant-covered sons and daughters. Now listen. I conducted a painstaking research on who we are, why we are here, when we came here, and how we came to dwell in this place called Igbo land in Nigeria. My first research finding proved that before the advent of Christianity in Nigeria, the people from my geographical area have been in the practice of circumcising their children after 8 days of that. This circumcision was a mark commanded by God to be made on the foreskin of Abraham and his children who are in covenant with God, in order to be able to identify the covenant-covered children of Abraham from among the children of other people of his time. Genesis 17 verse 10. This is why I am bold in saying that all those tribes who have been in the practice of circumcising of their children before the advent of Christianity in this nation are the missing children of Abraham, whose ancestral origin can no longer be properly traced except by God alone. In the book of St. Luke 1 verse 59, John was circumcised on the 8th day. Jesus was equally circumcised after 8 days in the book of Luke 2:21. Likewise, every circumcision and naming of children in my area have always been performed on the 8th day. The book of St. Luke 1 verse 5 has it that the grandfather of John the Baptist's name was Abia. My great-grandfather's name also was Abia. Abia was the name of King Solomon's grandson. Compare Matthew 1 verse 7. Though some Bible translation added either Ta or Ijah, the authorized King James version of the Bible, where these various translations emanated, recorded it Abia. Are there no various places in Igbo land called Abia? Abia in Ohafia, Abia in Umuabia, and Abia in several other places. These might have been some of the reasons why the proposers of Abia State decided to submit the acronym Abia and consequently was approved, adopted, recognized as Abia, God's own state in Nigeria. Brethren, here we are, the missing God's covenant-covered children of Abraham. Further, in my research findings, a village exists in the book of Joshua 16 verse 2 that belongs to the children of Joseph. It was called Achi. Are there not places known around us called Achi? Achumuhu, Achi in Anambra State, Umunachi, Ezinachi, and other Achis, just to mention but a few. Also, Achi is one of the trees that exist in Igbo land everywhere. In the book of Mark 3 verse 8, a village exists in the time of old called Idume. Back home here in Imo State, I married an Idume Ogwa lady. Even the elder people had their foundation tower in Israel, according to the book of Genesis 35 verse 21. Is there any Nigerian that doesn't know that elder people exist in Ebonyi State? Brethren, only the book of Exodus 30 verse 34 explains the meaning of Onitsha as one of the sweet spices available in the land of the ancient Hebrews. Here in Igbo land exist many places called Onitsha. Also, such as Onitsangwa, Onitsambise, Onitsuboma, Onitsuburu, Onitsha Ubo, and Onitsha town itself. Apostle Paul did not forget to extend his greetings to Obane and her people who helped him in Romans 16 verse 9. Are we not aware of the Obanes spread across our various states here? Or do you think that these various similar names makes no meaning to tracing of our ancestral identity? Furthermore, the book of Proverbs 30 was written by a man with an Igbo name, Ago. Refer Proverbs 30 verse 1. This Ago might have been one of the great grandfathers of people either from Item, Alai, Ibere, Ugweke, Mbende, LGA, where this name is still maintained till today. In Proverbs 30 verse 1, Ago seems to be discussing with two people supposed to be Ichie and Oka. If anything falls short of my explanation, it might be a matter of spelling and pronouncing error. Again, Genesis 36 verse 4 and 10 has it that Esau's wife's name was Ada. Is there any Igbo family that doesn't have an Ada in it? In Matthew 1 verse 10, the name of one of the great Hebrew fathers was Ammon. This name is still found common with the people of Abreba today. In the book of Esther 9 verse 9, Arisa was an ancient Hebrew name. Today at Ibere and Item, Arisa could still be found in large numbers. Think of such names like Onam and Anna, an ancient name still paraded here in Igbo land. They exist in Anambra State. In the book of Genesis 36 verse 24, Aja and Ohozara name and Anna, an Anambra name, suffice to expose their ancestral identity from among the ancient Hebrews. Ammoni, an ancient ally and the Item people's name, is found in 2 Samuel 21 verse 8 to 11 as one of the descendants of King Saul. In my teenage, I still remember when we visited Nenem Namone, whose son Amone was said to have been called so in order to preserve their ancestral name from being cut off, as we didn't know its meaning then. Permit me to digress a little for a vital explanation before I continue sampling these ancient Hebrew Igbo names. It should be noted that when God confounded the language of the children of Noah, they all retained their names. Likewise, wherever these ancient Hebrews went, they continued to name their children after their father, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, and mothers. Hence, they maintained a namesake culture, even in my place today. This is why names have remained one of the most effective instruments in use to determine the origin of an individual, especially among the Hebrews. Refer the book of Luke 1 verse 59. Also, in this nation, if your name is Abdullahi, we readily know where you came from. Effiong or Adebayo can equally tell your ethnic origin. This is why in my research, I laid great emphasis on names and cultural similarities as they were discovered from the ancient Hebrew book, the Bible. And who can prove to me that what was written in 1 Chronicles 4, verse 32 is not Item, my own people? Further discoveries along this line continues to point to the fact that we are the lost Hebrews who migrated from among our fellow Hebrews in the year that we no longer can be able to tell from the far east where we migrated, at a time that no one can tell. And who is sure that Igbo was not a wrongly recorded pronunciation of the word Hebrew at the time of the documentation of our identity? Our then illiterate farming and lost ancestors here might have pronounced their language Igbo instead of the correct pronunciation of it, Hebrew. Hence, they had it written as they pronounced it. Just the same as an Akwa Ibom or Cross River man falters at the pronunciation of Oga and Aba and also Go. For they say Go Oba for Go Aba, and they say Oka for Oga. Igbo instead of Hebrew might have been so erroneously called and recorded by those who documented our language and identity, since they never expected to find any Hebrew tribe here in Black Africa. The name Hebrew, having been bastardized in Africa, does. From Hebrew, they change it to Hebrew. From Hebrew, they change it to Igbo. From Igbo, it was changed to Igbo. Who knows whether our educated elites will further tell us to change it to Iko. Yet, the names that we retained continues to point to the truth of who we are. Is Acha an ancient Aboriginal name not found in the book of 1 Chronicles 2, verse 7, and Eke, a central Igbo name found in 1 Chronicles 2, verse 27. Don't be misled by fake translators of the Bible in the recent time. It is E-K-E-R, Eke. It is also an Ikwere name to show that even the Ikweres are Igbos. Were the children of a great grandfather, great ancestor called Sheshan not known as Alai? Are Alai not people in Abia State? See the book of 1 Chronicles 2, verse 31. Go to Bende local government, you will find them there today. Was Acho an Igbo name, not the owner of the valley where Achan was stoned in Joshua 7, verse 24 to 26? Was Ata not the name of Hezekiah's son, according to Ezra 2, verse 16? And was Azumuko not the father of Nehemiah, according to the book of Nehemiah 3, verse 16? Did Ezra chapter 10, verse 27 not tell us that the last born of Father Zatu's children was called Aziza? Is Aziza not purely an Igbo name and a language? Did Ezekiel not tell how he saw the son of Azun, an Igbo name, in Ezekiel 11, verse 1? Or was not Ehi an Igbo name, the sixth son of Benjamin, according to Genesis 46, verse 21? What about Caleb, whose first son had an Igbo name, Iru, according to 1 Chronicles 4, verse 15? And was Ishi not another Hebrew ancestor in 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 20? Didn't Genesis 46, verse 16 tell of the grandfathers of the people from Umuleri, Aguleri, Nri, Oreri, as Eri, all in Anambra State? Are these people not found in Anambra State today? Think about such names as Nebo in Ezra 2, verse 29, and Oma in Joshua 19, verse 30. is Uma, not an Ohafia name. And when they told me that my grandfather's name was Ota, I didn't like to mention it until I found its bearing from our great ancestral names in 1 Chronicles 9 verse 4 as a descendant of Judah. There are lots of other Igbo names that space may not permit me to reveal in this exposure, which you also can discover from the Bible yourself. In culture, our hard-working culture and harvest time that are characterized with feasts to thank God has many things in common with those of the Hebrews. We have no printing of tribal marks upon our faces, as it was against the covenant of these people with their God. See Leviticus 19 verse 28. Jubilee celebration, a festival that is held every 50 years, is still functional at Idato in Imo State. For I went to a burial ceremony and they told me of one man who was able to partake in a program that is held 50 years and he was able to see it thrice. So they do it every 50 years, that ceremony in their place, in line with what is written in the book of Leviticus 25 verse 8 to 10. The lost condition of our people in this faraway place notwithstanding, they always observe a number of these covenant ceremonies, such as is found in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 3, Feast of the Unleavened Bread, Ita Chicha. When I was young, this Ita Chicha period was a time when my people observed this feast in remembrance of their afflictions and famine, during famine time, and thus prepare for a period of harvest and plenty. It is true that in this our lost and ignorant era, these ceremonies became a mixture of demonic romance with their various impressed idols instead of their true God. It became a time of masquerade dancing, a borrowed Gentile culture. A time of display of magical arts, also a borrowed Gentile culture. A time of ritual sacrifice, an art which they acquired from the Gentiles, having forgotten their God. Whereas God commanded them in the book of Deuteronomy 18 verse 9 to 12, saying, When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of time, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer, for all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee. Missing Hebrews, missing people, which of all the above listed evils before us are we free from its grip? Who said that idolatry means cultural revival in Igbo land? Today, aren't our cultural revivals a direct link to the atheist and the Gentile nations in their romance with their demonic and idol gods? An act which cut our ancestors off from the ancient children of God's world map. Aren't these so-called cultural displays today among those evils that God enumerated in his covenant with our forefathers, saying, There shall not be found among us anyone doing them? What a lost people. What a pity. What a people that has forgotten the revival of their godly culture. Instead, they became very busy reviving the Gentiles' culture, for which their God turned his face away from them and drove them away into this obscure place. What a lost people on earth. Don't you know that when Solomon, our great ancestor, married 700 wives and retained 300 concubines, altogether 1,000 women, all alone for one man, from the Gentile nations, he embraced idol-worshipping culture from them. Therefore, God chased his idol-worshipping wives and children away from among their people by using their adversaries at his demise. Hence, the spread of these idol-worshipping missing Hebrews, who in their lost states today thought that idol-worshipping is their culture. You might have begun to doubt the reliability of my discoveries because of the black color of our skin. Do you know that we inherited our black color from our great ancestor Solomon, whose color turned to black by reason of the suffering he entered into when he turned away from God? Hence, he confessed in the book of Song of Solomon 1 verse 6. Look not upon me because I am black, because the sun had looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. Though Solomon, our great-grand ancestor, was endowed with enormous wisdom by God, sin reduced him to a mean farmer under the hot sun, with almost all of his offspring placed within the hot continent of Africa, where the sun continued to deal with them till today, that their color almost became as black as charcoal in the land of the Gentiles where they got lost. What a pity. Do you still need more facts to convince you of who you are and the need for you to get reconnected to your God, to your covenant-keeping God? Yes, you do. In wearing, our men's wear are different from those of our women. The so-called unisex wears are imported culture to both the Hebrews and the Igbos. Our cultural attires are in line with God's set standards for his covenant children in Deuteronomy 22 verse 5. Again, the number of years that we allow our farmland to lie fallow is relatively the same with those of the Bible Hebrews. Have you ever thought of the land of palm trees in Canaan? Who brought these palm trees here? Who brought these palm trees? Out of which we drive palm oil, palm kernel, palm wine, and other things here. These are trees inherited by the children of Abraham in the land of Canaan. Compare Exodus 15 verse 27. Do you know that the name of one of the 7 dukes in the land of Seir, a land occupied by Esau and his offspring about the year 1796 BC, was Duke Ezer? Refer Genesis 36, 29 to 31. It might be during the reign of this Duke Ezer that the first set of our ancestors migrated into this place. I sense their migration to this place to have been in 3 phases. Firstly, the migration of the Hebrew children of Esau during the reign of Duke Ezer at about the year 1796 BC. They might have established the idea that Duke Ezer, though very far from them, was still their king, and so no need to coronate another person here in Africa. Hence, it is still said today that Igbos have no king. But at the dawn of modern civilization, the need to have kings according to their organized kindreds and autonomous communities as required by modern government became a necessity. And the Constitution also empowered these people. And so they were able to make people that will become paramount rulers to them. Hence, Igbos today have several traditional and community kingdoms with own kings. Their leader's name or name title as Eze, after the names of the then ancient duke at their migration time is still retained. This arrangement, however, took care of the political sector, as what a good number of these Ezes portray and defend as our culture today have no bearing with God and his desire to link us back into adoption as his missing covenant children. The second set might have migrated at the death of King Solomon, which resulted to his numerous idol-worshipping wives and children being scattered upon earth's surface with their demonic cultures and many other things about the year 992 BC. Refer 1 Kings 11. The third immigrants might have left around 975 BC, when every family in Israel went back each to his tent to plan for their survival on individual basis. Refer 1 Kings 12 verse 16. All these discoveries and lots more continues to convince me that they were in no way a coincidence. They look real. I believe that we are missing Hebrew children, covenant-covered offspring of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Esau, and Solomon. And only God alone can show us our way back to him. Moses warned them of the consequence of their disobeying the Lord in Deuteronomy 4 verse 27. He said, "And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you." My brothers and my sisters, how many were we, brethren, before the 1967 Nigeria-Biafra war reduced us to our present population? In verse 28 to 29, it says, "And there ye shall serve gods, the works of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell." What type of God are we worshiping here today? Look at the various woods and stones scattered here and there. Some of them we tie white wrapper on them. But the Bible said, "But if from thence thou shalt seek the Lord thy God, thou shalt find him, if thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul." My brothers and my sisters, during the Nigeria-Biafra Civil War, every individual east of the Niger sought for the Lord with all their hearts and all their souls. No wonder when the cry of all these covenant children of God that got lost in ignorance reached his throne, he made haste and ended the war. And he further commenced his gradual reconnection of their missing link, physically and spiritually too. Have you ever wondered why God bypassed many other coasts around us only to come here and fulfill to us his promise of blessing to all the covenant-covered children of Abraham? Are we not in this hinterland enjoying a land flowing with milk and honey? A land of oil and orchards full of grapes. Our lost condition, occasioned by our ancestors' mistakes notwithstanding. They disobeyed God, and God in his jealousy poured out his wrath upon them, which affected all of us, their offspring. Where are we running to? In the book of Deuteronomy 28 verse 15, God said, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I commanded thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." Verse 25 revealed that the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Is that not what we experienced during the war? No victor, no vanquish. Who is vanquished and who is victorious? Brethren, have we not seen that it was disobedience to God's covenant that drove our ancestors from among their fellow brethren in their acquired promised land to this dark hidden land that is busy every day in their research for the advancement of the cause of wickedness and abominations? People that knows no bounds when it comes to committing of atrocities and witchcraft. A community of cheats and crooks. In case you don't know, brethren, we are the lost people among the covenant-covered children of Abraham and Israel. And only God can show us the way back. It wasn't our fault anyway, but our ancestors who, instead of obeying and walking in God's covenant, behaved otherwise and attracted these punishments upon us. The question today is, have their children learned their lessons? Where did they learn the lesson? Once they are settled, they can say their brother. The same old thing has continued till our day. Deuteronomy 28 verse 28 says, "The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart." That's what we are passing through here. Are our people not mad When other people are organizing themselves, they are instead fighting each other and running each other down. Are we not mad here? For while our brethren over there are busy inventing satellite and the computer technology, we over here became mad in invention of human spare part market and poison market in order to satisfy our curiosity. Are we not blind when instead of encouraging one another, we jealous and destroy each other in order to have our way? Why have we not learned our lesson? Why have we decided to become engaged by these demons instead of God? Yet at the end, the demons that engage us into this unwholesome business turns around to destroy us at last. What a pity. These demons go ahead to ridicule and expose us to the astonishment of our hearts. When shall we learn our lessons? Verse 29. The Bible said, and thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. This is exactly what we are passing through. Check in this nation who is being cheated. Tell us those people whose right has been stolen. Who is to save us? The Bible said no man. And yet, to worsen the whole situation, we even destroy ourselves instead of trying to save ourselves. Brethren, where have we found ourselves today? Where are we heading to? Are we not groping at noonday as though in darkness here? What are we not lacking in the midst of plenty provided for us by God? Are we not experiencing darkness in the midst of numerous power generation stations and dams? Aren't our vehicles parked for lack of oil in the midst of many fuel refineries and oil boom? Giant of Africa. Is the giant of Africa not like an ant before the world powers by reason of their insincerity and whoredom? The Bible said that no man can save us. But thank God, for only him can save us, for he is our God. In verse 30, he said, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. My brothers and my sisters, our house is not being pulled down after we have built them. What is remaining to happen to us that is not written here? I thought that the 1967 to 1970 Civil War, coups and counter-coups, experiences of the First, Second, Third, and the Fourth Republic should have taught us big lessons, but I discovered that we did not learn any. To us, they were like what could be described like water that was poured upon the back of a duck. Those were periods when other people took our wives by force, looted our farmlands, raped our daughters, and confiscated our properties. Yet, like fools, no single lesson was learned from them. Verse 32 says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fed with longing for them all the day, and there shall be no might in thee. Is that not where we are? It were before Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. It turned to Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. Today it is Hausa, Yoruba, South, Northeast, before Igbo. Where are we? Like fools, we claim to be the wisest, but we are the most stupid in the nation. What are we doing? Academical, foolish generation. When their grammar, if they want to imitate the Yorubas, they speak like them. They want to imitate the Hausas, they speak like them. They want to imitate the Igbo man, they speak like them. But for them to speak their language, that is no more. It's too local because they want to get more lost. Fools that claim to be the wisest. What lesson did we learn? Through the shedded blood of our heroes who died as a result of these numerous crises occasioned by our having decided to rebel against God. To where has our strength gone? Through children of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. Verse 33 to 34 says, the fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt only be oppressed and crushed always, so that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thy eyes which thou shalt see. Not only are we mad, some of us are dying because of frustration. This is where we are, and yet the lesson is yet to be learned. It is evident that this nation is endowed with enormous mineral resources, precious stones, and profitable natural vegetations. But are we enjoying them? Or are we suffering and dying by reason of our having them deposited in our lands? What exactly is happening? Is this not the finger of God pointing to an abominable and crooked generation with a view to call their senses back? But are we willing to amend, or are we still interested in continuing in our forefathers' mistakes, which brought and left us here? Which way do we go forward? Through children of Abraham. Verse 36 says, the Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. This is exactly what we are doing here. These people tormenting us, do our fathers know them? They do not. And we do not know them. That's exactly what the Bible says. I want to ask you, my brothers and my sisters, who brought us here? And when did we come to dwell in this land, where our ancestors bowed and worshipped wood and stone? Who brought us here? Where the fallen angels transformed themselves into the images of Amadioha, Agu, Kamalo, Igwekala, Ubinukpabe, Iyinta, Iyugu, Allah, Iyenile. Hey, which one do I call and which one do I leave? And they taught their children to bow and worship them. What a missing people. What a lost generation. I want to ask, is there yet any hope? Is there yet any hope in them? Yes, there is. Deuteronomy 30 verse 1 to 5 says, and it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations whither the Lord thy God has driven thee, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God had scattered thee. If any of them be driven out unto the outmost part of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. And he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. Hey, these promises are for the covenant children of Abraham, Israel. Wherever they are driven to in this world, their proper position as God's covenant children shall be restored to them anytime they come to their senses by making amends. When in the time of Joshua, the Israelites renewed their covenant with God and decided to move forward, human beings influenced by demons ganged up themselves to frustrate the move. Yet God, in remembrance of his everlasting covenant with them, reassured them in the book of Joshua 1 verse 5, saying, there shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. This same promise is for every covenant child of God that made peace with him. Joshua thus became strengthened and confidently forged ahead in his liberation move. The enemies also fortified themselves against him by engaging a 5-nation allied forces. It will be necessary at this juncture to explain the names, meanings, and functions of each of these demonic allied forces and their relatedness to what we are experiencing here today, in order to further assure you of the reliability of my research findings concerning our place of origin. Almost all the demonic false kings that stood against Joshua in his liberation assignment paraded Igbo names, acted like present Igbo people. But these and other related expositions, just wait a bit and you will hear them. But before we hear them, let us ponder and consider the fact that the Igbos, such as are called the Cross River Igbos, namely people of Old Bende, Arochukwu, and Afikpo LGA, might not, after all, be baseless. For in my research findings, only in Cross River and Akwa Ibom states did I find such Hebrew names among their villages and towns. Such places include Etinan, refer Exodus 13 verse 20. Etam, found in the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 4 verse 7. And in case you don't know, Ekot Akpanabia means the forest of the son of Abia, just to mention a few. These names are still in existence today among the towns and villages in the Old Cross River and Akwa Ibom states. These Cross River Igbos might have first settled at either Etam or Etinan or any other place around there and left those Hebrew names there as space, language barrier, and ethnic differences might have separated them from there. Hence, they gradually shifted further where they are found today. It cannot be ruled out completely that there still exist today remnants of those missing Hebrews among the Cross River and Akwa Ibom states indigenes, who have been swallowed up by their tradition, culture, and language, as the bulk of their Igbo-speaking brethren left for a more accommodating free land where they can no longer be seen as strangers, leaving a large number of their fellow Igbos there. Think about the names like Ibibio. A research showed me that Ibibio is a simple name of Ibe Igbo, fellow Igbos. It is Ibe Igbo. The Igbo man wrote Ibibio, which means fellow Igbos. Think about Kwa Igbo. Kwa is an Ongwa language to introduce Igbo. Look at Igbo, Kwa Igbo. Further from my findings, Akwa Ibom state were supposed to be the place where the Aros migrated from to claim the custodians of the so-called Igbo god, Chukwu Obioma, or Ubinokbabi. Hence, they attach ancient superiority to themselves. It is believed that their fellow Igbos began to join them later as natural and supernatural occurrences began to unfold, placing them in an uncomfortable and inconveniencing situations. Hence, they came, joined their ancient Igbo neighborhood known as Old Bende Division before the advent of the colonial masters. Equally up north of them, something else was happening around the areas known today as Oka. The children of the Hebrew great ancestor referred to as Eri, whose established kingdom spread across Aguleri, Umuleri, Nri, and all other territories around that area. They were there. Today, they claim ancient superiority in opposition to the southern Igbo land Aro people's claim. Likewise, in Delta State today, there are Igbos around there, places like Ibuzo and other areas. They never believed, ever originating from either two. They call these other areas Alibo. Yet they are there speaking Igbo. They claim that they were there before. Hence, they equally claim their own ancient superiority in contrast to the Aro and Eri concept, which of course seem to prove my assertion that they did not migrate into this place at the same time right. The only existing conflict in this research work is the persisting demonic culture of these Igbos, contrary to their God's covenant culture of the Hebrews, as contained in the Holy Bible. But let me ask, are you one of such people that believe that the Igbos are those people whose cultures include ritual sacrifices and humiliation to death of their fellow human beings in the name of according befitting burial rites to either their chiefs or traditional rulers, as the ancient people used to do in those years? Are you among those that believe that Ofo, Otisi, Ajoko, Agun, and so on are symbols of authority of Igbo people? Are you lost into believing that Owu, Agun, Amadioha, Kamalu, Ngelukwelu, and others are angels of God instead of demons that serve Lucifer here after their failure from heaven many thousand years ago, while aspiring to be revered like God, an ambition which they never realized in heaven, only to come here in their fallen state and achieved it in the culture of the Gentile nations. Are you doomed into believing that these various woods and stones represent the godly culture of one of Jehovah's #1 citizens on earth? Are you one of such people that believes that these various Juju priests of cannibalism are the custodians of our ancestral culture here in Igbo land? For I assume that it is either that they are the Gentiles whom God warned us not to have anything to do with them, or that they are among the Hebrews that God lost in the culture of the Gentile nations. I want to sound it clear that the hand of the Lord is gradually coming down to this nation with a view to separate his people from among these various demonic cultures of the heathens, the Gentiles, and the atheists, which has placed us not among the first nor the second, but among the third world countries of the world. I also, through this medium, wish to dissociate the culture of the original Igbo people from some of these various claimed demon-like antiquities of ancient origin attached to our ancestral culture, such as have been discovered at various places by archaeologists and anthropologists, and kept at various archives and museums. Some of them are samples of the culture of the Gentile nations that our ancestors met here on arrival many thousand years ago, when they provoked their God, who in consequence drove them away by reason of idolatry. And also, the myth that Eri or Oduduwa migrated from heaven is a fairy tale that the original Igbo people can never believe. Hence, believing in them means our believing in unbelief. It is only Christ that descended from heaven, yet through a combination of natural and supernatural process. See Ephesians 4, verse 10. Even Melchizedek was not so acclaimed. If any archaeologist or anthropologist want to dig out the root source of the original Igbo people, their culture, symbol, and scepter of authority, let them go to Israel, where our early ancestors took off their race into this place. There, they abandoned the original antiquities, cultural proofs, and the scepter of authority which contained their covenant with their provoked God before they came, discovered and inherited these various gods of wood, stone, ofo, otisi, ajoko, and so on, in imitation of those Gentile nations that corrupted and left them here. God handed the original scepter of authority of the Hebrews to Moses. Moses handed it over to Joshua, as it is found in the book of Joshua 1 verse 8. Let the archaeologists and anthropologists help in finding out where this original copy of our scepter is, as they came from the hand of the Lord, who gave it to Moses, and Moses gave it to Joshua, and we will accept it. Not these voodoo scepters. In conclusion of this exposition, which promised the sampling of the demonic kings that stood against our ancestors in their journey towards acquiring their promised land, let's read the book of Joshua 10 verse 1. Joshua 10 verse 1. Now it came to pass, when Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, heard how Joshua had taken Ai and had utterly destroyed it. Now, compare this portion of the scripture with Genesis 14 verse 18 and also Hebrews 7 verse 1. It says, for this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him. Let's pause here. You can discover here an imitation spirit-controlled man whose name and function sound similar to the one of the priest of the Most High God, Melchizedek. Note the name of God's priest, Melchizedek, king of Salem, and the name of the demonic king, Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem. If someone is not careful, he can mistake Adonizedek for Melchizedek and king of Jerusalem for king of Salem. And how much more when both name and title is pronounced at a stretch. This Adonizedek represents the demon of imitation that wants to be seen as the real instead of the fake. It is a dangerous omen for this spirit to possess anyone, for he will be living a life of imitation of others and thereby hide his real self. It can make someone to change his name to begin to sound like the one he is imitating, dance like the one he is imitating, pretend to be like or to act like the one he is imitating. Thus, he will become possessed by the spirit of imitation until he advances into imitating the world and her way of life. Even so did our ancestors imitate the demonic cultures of the Gentile nations left among them in their promised land until they got lost into it, having taken to live in idolatry, and God, in his jealousy and anger, began to chase them about until they came into this no man's land and hid. Joshua 10 verse 3 listed the names of all the 5 demons that gathered to stop God's covenant children from making progress. But I make bold to say that no demon can stop any covenant child of God that traced his way back to his maker in a strengthened covenant. Apart from Adonizedek, whom I think hid his name in imitation, every of the other demonic allied forces against Joshua had Igbo names. This, of course, proved that what we are experiencing today did not originate today. Read the book of Joshua 10 verse 3. Joshua 10 verse 3. Wherefore, Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, sent unto Hoha. My brothers and my sisters, this Hoha represents a talk demon that possesses Igbo people. They use their mouths excessively against their brothers with a view to provoke them or run them down. When an Igbo man says, I have said it Hoha, anything it will cost, let it cost, it means that he has said even more than he can defend if called to prove what he has said. Hohab is a very bad spirit, very dangerous and destructive spirit when it possesses anyone. It is responsible for gossips, murmuring, backbiting, scandal, spreading of image-tarnishing stories of people with intent to run them down. It possessed Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem, and they made mockery of Nehemiah and his fellow builders of the wall of Jerusalem in the book of Nehemiah 2:19-20. Yet Nehemiah, a covenant child of God, prospered and overcame the Hohab spirit, possessed enemies of progress. It possessed Miriam, and she almost useless Moses, a covenant-covered child of God during his time. She almost destroyed the ministry that God placed in the hand of Moses. I cannot be able to narrate my experiences on earth as a result of the deeds of these demon-possessed agents of destruction. Yet they have not been able to stop me. No demon can stop you. No demon, including Hoham and Adonizedek, can stop a covenant-covered child of God from making progress. They can only disturb you, but they cannot stop you. They can only shake what God reserved for you with their mouth, but they cannot take it from you because the hand of God is holding it for you and not their mouth. Now, let's find out the name of the next demon from the book of Joshua 10 verse 3. It says, "And unto Piram, king of Jarmuth." This Piram represents another Igbo behavior and expression that is used for defining a slippery object, such as a live kingfish inside a river. Very slippery. Its movement is always Piram. Therefore, if you are not gifted in the art of catching it, it will slip off from your grip, Piram, and you will end up holding nothing at hand anymore. This Piram demon is responsible for human craftiness and subtlety. Piram spirit is a spirit of disappointment, an unreliable spirit that changes people instantly from what you know about them. Piram spirit always help a Hoham spirit possessed person when in trouble. Hoham, after using a person to tell his framed image tarnishing lies against his fellow, on the day of proof, Piram becomes the only way out. These Piram spirits have killed many strong men, rendered many powerful men of God hypertensive, subjected many to a motionless state of stroke, and brought heart failure and death to millions of people through the channels of these demon-possessed slippery human beings. Do you know that 90% of the human environment is suffering today by reason of the deeds of a combination of these Piram and Hoham spirits? They can bleed a heart to death instantly. Piram spirit produces doubt, lack of trust, and fear, even among covenant-covered children of God. It kills the motivating interest of every actor, especially when displayed by saboteurs and double-faced human beings. In fact, Piram spirit is a dangerous omen anywhere it enters. This is why we must guard against it entering into anywhere we are. Now, let's sample the next demon in that Joshua 10 verse 3. It says, "And unto Japhia, king of Lachish." This Japhia represents another Igbo expression meaning go to market. Afia. In my village, market is called Afia. It is true that some other people call it Ahia. Yet majority of the Igbos call market Afia. In Igbo, J means go. Afia means market. Hence, Jafia means go to market. This Jafia spirit is a spirit of self-pity. It is a spirit that points only to your inabilities. A discouragement spirit. It is a spirit that is always busy showing you your fellows who have arrived, achievers, and fashionable, and often presents the question, what are you up to? In order to keep you in the wilderness of self-pity. Japhia spirit is a spirit whose major assignment is to throw a challenge to you, saying, why don't you do this or that in order to get money with which you can go to the market and buy this or that thing that have kept you away from measuring up with your equals, without attaching any importance to how genuine those suggestions are. Japhia spirit is responsible for stealing, armed robbery, dubious character, and high-mindedness. It can render a quality Christian life into a mere social ceremonial outfit and make you begin to chase only materials instead of spiritual things. Japhia spirit motivates your purchasing interest above your purchasing ability. It was this Japhia spirit that John referred to as love of the world in 1 John 2, verse 15 to 16. He says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. Anyone that is possessed by Japhia spirit is not far from becoming worldly, even if his bedroom is inside the church altar. Thus, he might pass away with the world. To avoid being possessed by this Japhia spirit, my brothers, follow God with contentment from today, and He will provide enough of what you need today to survive your tomorrow. The fifth and last demon in that verse is what we are going to consider now. It says, and unto Dibia, king of Eglon, saying, this is the last demon that was sent to obstruct Joshua from making progress in his God-given assignment. It also paraded an Igbo name. It is rightly pronounced Dibia. Yes, in English, D-E is pronounced D. Equally, B-I-R is pronounced Bia. So a combination of this D-I and B-I-R sound produce the right name of the demon as Dibia. The Dibia people in the generation of our ancestors were known for sorcery, poisoning, witchcraft, infliction of strange sickness on people through voodoo and occultic means. They, in particular, were responsible for God's anger against our great ancestors, who not only patronized them, but went deeper into acquiring these Dibia demonic powers. Worse still, they initiated their children into this Dibia cult and provoked God to anger, and God drove them out from their blessed land and from among their brethren. Compare what is written in Psalms 106, verse 28 to 29. It says, they joined themselves also unto Baal Peor, and ate the sacrifices of the dead. Thus they provoked him to anger with their inventions, and the plague broke in upon them. They joined the Dibia people in their acts, and God became annoyed and chased them about from then until they came here and hid. No wonder they came into this dark continent with their invented idols and hid until they forgot their God, forgot about their covenant with Him, forgot their ancestral lineage, and forgot themselves. But thank God for written technology that documented and preserved our written identity for any generation that will care to embrace them and their values. Depending upon these documented facts in the Bible, I have been able to discover who I am, where I came from, and how I can reconnect myself into my missing link. Scattered by the deeds of our ancient, wicked, and devious spirit-controlled ancestors, we lost our God-given favor land and opportunity. And here we are, the lost tribe of Israel, in a land where these numerous demonic practices were given free hand to operate. Here, our people are not only passing through the fire, but have advanced into becoming fire eaters. Divination has also become an order of service in some various churches where these devious spirit-controlled ministers operate. Do you know that magical art is a developed version of Dibia artistry? Also, witchcraft is another of its developed department by our forefathers to perpetuate wickedness. You know, it is through this art they can transform themselves into images of physical snakes, rats, pigs, lions, pussycats, bats, just to mention a few, contrary to what God made them to be, all in their delight to perpetuate acts of wickedness and demonstration of power to their fellow human beings. This Dibia art of witchcraft has become an instrument of terror to mankind wherever they are today. No wonder God said in the book of Exodus 22 verse 18, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." They acquired this Dibia artistry from the Gentile nations where they were influenced by Lucifer and the fallen angels that revealed the secret of these acts to them with a view to attract the fearful and the unbelieving into following them to hell. The demons Adonizedek, Hoha, Piram, Japhia, and Dibia all combined their forces against Joshua, yet they failed because no demon can stop a covenant-covered child of God from accomplishing his God-given assignment. Joshua 10 verse 11 says, "And it came to pass, as they fled from before Israel, and were in the going down to Beth-horon, that the Lord cast down great stones from heaven upon them unto Azekah, and they died. They were more which died with hailstones than they whom the children of Israel slew with their sword." Covenant-covered children of God, be not afraid, for it is only through instilling of fear upon you that they can trap and disorganize you. They shall gather, but the Lord will not be with them. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fail for thy sake. Isaiah 54 verse 17. They shall construct their instrument of life destruction and settle mean men for the elimination of your life. Yet no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue of Hoha, spirit-controlled adversaries, shall be condemned by you, covenant-covered children of God. And who shall harm you? Who will harm you if you are a follower of what is right and good? 1 Peter 3 verse 13. I say, no demon can stop you, my brother. No demon can stop you, my sister. Only be not afraid as you strengthen your covenant relationship with God, even now. In the book of Exodus 14 verse 13 to 14, Moses said to the people, "Fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today. For the Egyptians you have seen today, you shall see them again no more. The Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace." I want you, oh, my brother that is hearing me wherever you are. Exodus 14, 13 to 14 is your word Go with it. Strengthen your relationship with that word and correct your anomaly, you Igbos, for proper integration to be made. God bless you.
Fear ye not. Moses said to the people, stand still. Moses said to the people, see the salvation of the Lord. See the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today. For the Egyptians you have seen today. For the Egyptians you have seen today. For the Egyptians you have seen today. You shall see them again no more. For the Egyptians you have seen today. For the Egyptians you have seen today. For the Egyptians you have seen today. You shall see them again no more. The Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. The Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. You shall see them again no more. You shall see them again no more. The Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. The Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. You shall see them